Hi, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. I think I finally got this working. 8.6. In about half an hour or 45 minutes, I'll do another calibration, but we're still green, so we're still good. I have 2.75 units of insulin, and I went up to 11.4. But I've come down to 8.6. All pretty good so far. Time in range is 85%, 15% above, so over 10%. So 15 times 15 will get you the length of time. 85% time in range. This number has gone down. Earlier it was at 8. Now it's down to 7.9. 8.3 I think it was. Now it's down to 7.9. So that's a pretty good thing so far today. I'm kind of happy with it. Now, let's just get this light up and out of there so we can see now. What I want to discuss today is you've done everything your doctor has asked, and you're still getting high blood sugars. Let's discuss this. So we'll be going right. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Okay, so you've done all your blood tests. You've done the average. You've eaten correctly. And you're still reading highs. Why is that? Well, I'm going to discuss some of the reasons. This is not going to be a list. And don't use what I say to go ahead and do correction. It's up to you to speak with your doctor. Now, ideally, we've talked about this before, is your doctor will give you a dose of insulin. He should also hopefully give you a correction value. And usually something like 2 days. On the third day, you try something. You increase it if you're high by a certain number of units. That way you can fine tune. While they have found it is so important that you get as close to your numbers as possible. What your body would normally do if you weren't a diabetic. So, a lot of doctors are doing this now, taking and trying to correct, getting things so that it's nice and even. But that's not going to be truthful. Another reason why you could be going high is I've spoken about this a number of times on my channel. And that is, you can have whatever you want to eat. Well, you can, but you can't. Meaning, you can't have pies and cookies every single day. I've used to say the 80-20 rule, but I've updated to the 90-10% rule. 90% of the time, if you're eating sensibly, you have your carbs and your protein, your fats, then you could, 10% of the time, you'll have a treat. Have a little bit bigger lunch. Personally, I have found that it's also important that you give yourself the insulin before you eat. Giving it, 15 minutes before you eat. Here at the home, I know when meals are scheduled to be done, and I will check it on my glucometer. I will type in the carbs. Bing, bang, we're done. And I get my insulin. It's important that you are eating at the same time so that your doctors can sort of pinpoint, is it the food? Is it the time you eat? Is it the amount of medication you're taking? If it's all within the same time, it's important. Now, you could be fighting an infection. There could be something else going on in your body. Complications can throw your blood sugars out the window. It's kind of like, and they come on virtually out of nowhere. I'm really starting to peak. I wonder, am I sick? Well, let's take a look at other things first. Are you less active on certain days? At one point with my pump, when I had to have a basal rate in it going all the time, I would have my numbers differ on a weekend versus a weekday, whatever the weekend being, whether it be Wednesday, Thursday, whatever days I had off. So we came up with a different basal rate. For when I'm off, chances are I'm going to sleep in, not having to get up and go racing around. Because at the one point, I was getting higher blood sugars later on in the day. Well, you're not as active as you would have been. So, what to do? That gives you a little bit of more leeway of control. Now, I've talked about my labile diabetes on this channel, but you could be labile. However, don't take what I say. Go and discuss things with your doctor. ensure that he or she know about your concerns, and they will say either, no, we just need to work on this, or yes, I agree. For me, I just could never get my blood sugars under control. But for me, it was the lower parts. At night, I'd fall asleep. I'd wake up, I was on the floor, disorientated. I just pressed my button. This isn't the button, but it's to represent what I did. And I had the fire department there quite regularly. Life. Now, off of TCOYD website, there was a gentleman who pretty well said something, and that was that high blood sugars can virtually always be understood. There's always something, whether it's the eating, it's a lifestyle, and recurrent, and the railroading or roller coaster effect. There are reasons why. It's just how you look at it. Labels are not always that decisive. But we're just talking about high blood sugar this time. One of the biggest things is something I like to call user error. What are you doing that will cause this from happening? Or why is this always happening? Could be a few things. Could be you're not following the plan. Could be maybe you're deciding to play. Could be, oh, I know everything better than these doctors. You have to clear out, I haven't been doing what I should be doing. I know here they thought that I was taking too much insulin because my blood sugar would drop. Big deal. Your blood sugar drops. You have to deal with it. But I don't just keep shooting up with insulin. Another story I had was I was in the hospital and the whole treatment and the doctor thought for sure I was taking insulin. And I had to keep saying, I'm not taking insulin. And at night, I'd collapse. I'd hit my head. I don't know how I made it through, but I did. And that's important. So, getting rid of the mindset, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. If you are playing games, for your own good, you've got to stop it. I don't play games. I never really have with my insulin. If anything, I would take less insulin. But I would never use it. Oh, if I have high, I could go into DKA. And then I could be the center of attention. That's not the attention you want. Trust me. If you've followed your plans, it isn't working for you, and you keep having your higher blood sugars, you need to go see your doctor and say, you know what? We followed the plans, but nothing seems to be working. He may or she may modify the amount of insulin, go on to different delivery technique. What's the other one? Change your brand of insulin. I know that when I had an issue with my diabetes and going highs, going lows, I was on a certain type of insulin. I'm not going to mention the name. They suggested that maybe I shouldn't be on that insulin. And once they changed back to the insulin I was on, things cleared up. So little things like that can affect your blood sugars. So follow your plans. If you are playing around with your insulin or whatever, stop it. It's not worth it. 3, if you still, after doing the first 2, have problems that persist, contact your endocrinologist. Make sure you have a plan if you go high or if you have DKA starting. You need to have an action plan to deal with it. Just some points I thought that you may want to just have out there. High blood sugars, eating stress can cause it. Hair dye can cause it. Any sort of creams or lotions, if they have a carb count on it, can be absorbed in the skin. Just saying here. But again, if you are having issues, get it checked out with your medical professional. Let's solve this. Let's find out why your blood sugars are constantly going low. And with that, I'm going to say have a great day, and we'll talk later. Bye now. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.